To the Israeli war on Hamas, the United States says a potential ground offensive in Rafah would have terrible impact on citizens there and would be a big mistake and not something Washington can support. Thoughts were expressed by State Department spokesperson Matthew Miller during a press conference on Wednesday. It comes days after the UN Security Council passed a draft resolution calling for a lasting, sustainable ceasefire in Gaza for the remaining days of the Muslim Ramadan. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu had cancelled a pre-planned meeting in Washington upon learning about the resolution. Miller says it's important for the meeting to take place, but is unable to share any scheduling updates.
It's important that that meeting happen. As we've said, we think that the plan that Israel has said it intends to pursue with respect to Rafah is one that would be a mistake, that would have enormous, a terrible impact on the civilian population there and would weaken Israel's security. And we think there's a better way. And we want to have the opportunity to present that better alternative to Israel. So we do think it's important that that meeting take place, but I don't have any scheduling updates. A full-scale military operation into Rafah would be a mistake, and it's not something that we can support. What we have said is the kind of mission that we could support is a much more targeted, limited campaign that could still achieve the same objectives, that could still lead to the defeat of those remaining Hamas battalions inside Rafah. It's clear that these claims are categorically false. I think the Russian government knows that the claims are categorically false. Ukraine wasn't behind these attacks. The UK wasn't behind these attacks. The United States wasn't behind these attacks. In fact, the United States warned Russia about the possibility of these attacks in advance because we wanted to see that if the attacks could be averted and ultimately prevent a loss of life from the Russian people. See a diplomatic solution. It's something that we have pursued. We believe that preventing escalation is of utmost importance, and we will continue to work towards a diplomatic resolution that would allow Israeli and Lebanese citizens to return to their homes and live in peace and security.
More now on the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. He's warned Hamas not to bet on pressure from the UN Security Council to back a ceasefire on Gaza. He's called on Washington's refusal to veto the resolution a very, very bad move. His words. Netanyahu was meeting with U.S. Republican Senator Rick Scott in Jerusalem on Wednesday.
Decision of the Security Council, very bad move. And the worst part about it, I think the bad thing about the U.S. decision in the United Nations Security Council was it encouraged Hamas to take a hard line and to believe that international pressure will prevent Israel from freeing the hostages and destroying Hamas. And that, therefore, my decision not to send the delegation to Washington in the wake of that resolution was a message to Hamas. It was a message, first and foremost, to Hamas. Don't bet on this pressure. It's not going to work. And I hope they got the message.
And the World Food Programme is warning of imminent famine in northern Gaza. The programme's country director in Palestine, Matthew Hollingworth, says malnutrition in children is proceeding at a record pace, and 1 of 3 children below the age of 2 is now acutely malnourished or wasted. He also says about 70% of the population in northern Gaza is facing a catastrophic hunger.
There is nowhere else in the world where so many people face imminent famine. Here in Gaza City, we're at the epicenter of the crisis here in the Gaza Strip. Today I've met so many people who are angry and tired and despairing because their children go to sleep every night hungry. Their old people, their elderly, are fading away because of a lack of nutrition. They themselves are desperately seeking every day the aid that they need to survive. And we are simply not getting enough into Gaza City and the north of the Strip. We desperately need the conditions to get access every day to be flooding this area with food assistance if we're going to prevent famine, prevent further death, prevent wasting amongst children, prevent really the desperate situation that is already in place.